So with all that said, I think I'd like to turn on this new checkbox here and show people what the new editor looks like. Can you walk us through some of the improvements that we're seeing here?
Yeah, absolutely. This was a pretty big transformation and also supporting both at the same time, like the old UI and the new UI. That was a bit of a challenge, but we found a way to make it work. And yeah, just a lot of it is just trying to simplify the different sections of the quote, make it easier to like visually at a glance understand everything on the quote. Uh, yeah, just a lot of, small but meaningful improvements overall just for the whole UI, just sort of add up to this, big change that just, it looks better and it feels a lot easier to use.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And just to highlight a few things that we've done to make usability uh, a step forward here, or really to improve usability, I should say. It used to be a little tricky to see the state of your bundles. And so one thing we've done is we've added this nice icon here that actually identifies the state based on the coloring. And so previously you'd have to go into the menu, which we've moved from the right-hand side over here to make it a little bit more accessible. You'd have to go in and pick the radio button you want, whether you want your end customer to see just the bundle or just the line items or both. You can actually just click on this icon and it cycles through those different states here. So bringing better visibility to the current state as well as a usability improvement on how to toggle those changes. I think another thing worth highlighting is previously there were different ways you could take advantage of the different objects on the quote, which would result in different indentation of different elements. And on occasion, the header would become not lined up with all of the different columns on the quote. So one thing we've done here with the sticky header, which is partially hidden by this development mode, we are in the staging environment here, even though this is set to be released to production next week. You can see that we are always lining up the header with the correct data, independent of if you're looking at a regular line item or a line item that's inside a bundle, or really no matter what your configuration is, we're making sure that you can accurately identify the field based on the column header there. Is there anything else you'd like to highlight from the work that you did in this area?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. Like definitely the sticky header is a big improvement. That was one thing that I'd always found difficult with the old UI was just how just the columns wouldn't really exactly line up. So it wouldn't give you a clear idea of what fields you were always editing, but now it just feels a lot cleaner and easier to understand, exactly which columns, go where.
Yeah, I think that was a big improvement. Just aesthetically too, we've tried to group things using nice colors and try and better use the real estate as well. You might notice if I switch back to the old editor here, just the amount of space we were using up um, as far as the vertical space available in the screen. And now we've sort of condensed a lot of these line items into a little bit more of a grid look. And that just allows you to see more of what's going on in that quote and more easily make the edits that you want to make without scrolling around too much. Another thing to note is if you're an MSP that's using Quoter to have item options for each of your different line items or some of your line items, on occasion you have line item specific SKUs or details like color or things like that can also increase or decrease the price, but they show up under the line item here. And in the old UI, it was a very spaced out radio button or checkbox interface. If you are using any of that functionality or even the custom fields at the line item level, take a look at this new line item editor and see the difference. You'll notice way better use of real estate, a much cleaner interface, and easier to navigate as well. Okay, so before we wrap up, there actually is one other detail that we wanted to highlight here around the line item groups. Do you want to walk us through that, Devin?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, previously for our line item groups or single select line item groups, they used to be called, uh, they would always be separate under this, like the section totals there, but now we've worked on a feature to bring those up together with the line items in the section. So now you can drag and drop a line item group, in and around any line items. You can have it at the top of your quote, bottom, in the middle of your line items in a section. So yeah, just further increasing that flexibility and sort of bringing the concept that we had for the quote elements into sections as well.
Yeah, you can also have bundles inside your line item group. So a line item group is where your end customer must select one of the options within that group of line items. We also touched on section groups, or really single select section groups as well, where the end customer must select one of those sections, so all the line items within that section. So there's so much flexibility here around how you can configure this quote to make it easy for your end customer to know what they can select, can't select, and making sure that you really just put those guardrails in place and make it easy to communicate what you need them to sign off on for your managed services and your add-ons. And yeah, as you highlighted there, you can move around the bundles within the line item group. You can even move around the line item group itself to be within this section group. You can move it entirely out of the section group into your optional add-ons group up here. And really you can sort of do whatever you need to do. And that was a big part of this project, right? It was taking a very restrictive environment that was becoming difficult to use and really focusing on usability and making it so that our line item editor is something people enjoy using while still having all the functionality that we made available through Quoter over the last few years.